This is Making Light. Julie Hurt and Kate Fogger are soul-level intuitives and animal communicators. This show is about us sharing our experiences in the hope it will help others along their path. So let's go make some light. Hello everybody, my name's Kate Fogger and with me is Julie Hurt. And together we are this very day with you making light. Making light to humans beings. So we're very honoured, shall we say, to have Julie with us because she's on a self-imposed writers retreat day 2, I think. So I'm very honoured, Julie, that you would still find the time to share your wisdom with us. So today, Julie, we are discussing, it's gone completely, people pleasing, with looking through the lens of not safe, supported, or protected, and protected. So for the benefit of new readers, soul level coaching recognizes 4 negative beliefs. We have unlovable, not good enough, not worthy, and not safe, supported, and protected. And most negative beliefs that we will have, or limiting beliefs, whatever you want to call them, tend to fall in those 4 categories. There are overlaps, but those are really, they cover pretty much everything, I think. Julie and I have our favorites. And what we do in soul level coaching is look at the negative belief behind behaviors that you're trying to change. So that's really what we're doing here, is we're discussing around the negative beliefs. And as Julie and I discuss, you'll hear the workarounds that we have, the things that we find ourselves doing because of that negative belief, not safe, supported, and protected. Not safe, supported, and protected, for me, when we first started doing this, Julie, don't know about you, I was a bit like, nah, not one for me. I was all about the not worthy and unlovable and not good enough. Didn't really understand the context of what that meant. And then I think we had a session with our teacher, Danielle, and I can't remember what she was talking about, but it put it in a whole new perspective for me. And I think the discussion was actually about, like, why do you not, if you've got nice, we call them pants, I don't know what you call them, knickers, underwear.
Yeah. I was like, wait, what are we doing?
Yeah, what we call that, panties. So if you have nice underwear, for example, and you never wear it because you're saving it for a special occasion, that's actually a workaround for not safe, supported, and protected, because all the poverty mindset, all the abundance issues are basically not safe, supported, and protected, because you are not confident or not believing that you are worthy of good things coming to you all the time, that there will always be another pair of knickers to wear and you'll always have another occasion, there will be an endless supply of pretty pants to wear. And when I could see it in that light, suddenly I was like, oh my God, this is huge for me in so many ways. So you said, Julie, you had a few to talk about.
Yeah. So we're talking about the people-pleasing behavior. So I actually had 2, and then maybe a little bit of a thing on our favorite book of the year. I'm just going to say on our best behavior. So there's 2 incidents yesterday. Yesterday was the second. So within a 2-week, like one time last week, one time this week, I've been out walking Lucas in the preserve. So we walk every day I try to make it like an hour. If I can go longer, we go longer, and meander. And last week we were walking, and I swear I'm constant. I don't wear headphones. It's me and Lucas, totally present, walking. And there wasn't a soul around. And then all of a sudden I heard like a jingle jangle, kind of like a dog collar kind of thing, rattle behind me. And Lucas is on a 30-foot leash. He's on a training lead that, for recall. And we do that. It's just easier. I could go into all the talks about dog leashes. We can do that later. Anyway, so he's way out in front of me, looking for deer or whatever. And I hear this jingle jangle, and it scares the bejeebus out of me, because like 30 seconds prior, as I'm always looking just to see, is anybody around? Are we okay? Because we don't want to like intrude on anybody, right? So I see no one. So all of a sudden I hear this, it freaks me out. And Lucas has been helping me voice my no, particularly when deer run in front of us and he wants to take off after those gorgeous white tails. So I hear this and I just go, no, 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 because I don't know what's behind me. And as I'm saying that, and Luke is like way in front of me, he turns too, and I see this guy running up behind me with a very large dog that would normally scare a human being. Scared me. Both of them scared me, but it was more about him coming towards me. Yeah, you have a question.
Shout? Because I didn't hear what you shouted.
Oh, no, 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 no. And the guy stopped dead in his tracks. And I'm trying, and by this time I realized that it's a dog and a person. And I was kind of then at that point, then I get angry because I'm like, why didn't you fricking say something that, hey, on your left, so I would know you were going to be there. He had headphones in, all the things, right? So I'm quickly pulling Lucas in, and all I have to do is like touch my child. We have a whole thing where I go, he's going to wake up, look at me. And he then knows to come right by me, sit and whatever. So I'm doing that, whatever. But this guy gives me this look and he rolls his eyes like, crazy lady, like, what the hell? And then I'm really angry because now Lucas is by my side. We're off the trail. They can move on. And I'm like, and I start apologizing. Sorry, here's my people pleasing. Sorry. Why am I apologizing? I had technically right of way on the trail. All he had to do way when he first saw me was coming up behind you. Would it still scared me? Of course, because I was in a zone, right? When I'm out there. But you would have at least given me time to pull my dog who's 30 feet away back towards me so we could safely get off the trail. But I find that here, what's so interesting is here where I live, I find that one, people don't look at you and talk with you on the trail when you come towards. I'm just like, hi, how you doing? They will do everything to avert their gaze. I don't know why I'm saying all this, but anyways, but they also won't tell you when they're behind you. Where we moved from, Alaska, that was not the case. People would shout out because everybody knew you had a dog somewhere. Anyway, so I apologized to him. It happened again yesterday. It was raining all day.
Apologize for
this is what I was sat and I thought about for a while. I think I'm apologizing for making them possibly feel uncomfortable, for him, for delaying him, for me. I think I was also apologizing for being a crazy lady. Like I started to apologize. I had to take like a couple of minutes and just sit with Lucas, the two of us, and just calm down.
This man appears out of nowhere, looms up behind you or whatever, scares the bejesus out of you.
Yeah.
So when you shouted, no, was he right behind you?
Pretty much. I mean, if Lucas had decided to take off from the 30 feet he was in front of me to the 30 feet behind me, he would have nailed this dog. Not that that's not what Lucas does. I didn't, but that's what we move off the trail. Lucas can be reactive on leash. So I try to keep, and he knows. So he came right to me. He was like, whatever, came right over. But however, there's a second incident I want to talk about. So yesterday we're walking. It'd been raining all day. There is nobody outside because nobody goes outside when it rains, even though we have raincoats. Sorry, there's anyway. So we go outside and we're walking. Yeah. And we're walking. And again, no one around. Lucas is 30 feet in front of me. No one around. All of a sudden, Lucas stops and he looks back, and I can tell by how Lucas looks at me that there's someone behind me. I don't have headphones in. Again, no one said anything. I turn as I'm going, no, because I can tell that he's bothered by something. No. And it's this older woman who has osteoporosis with a hoodie over her head. She's right behind me. And I went, like it scared the shit out of me again. Sorry. Anyway. And then she looks at me like, rein your dog in. Why are you walking out here on a 30-foot leash? And I'm like, why are you right behind me? But I start apologizing to her again. So this is where it came up. I'm like, okay, this is clearly people pleasing because I didn't feel protected. I didn't feel secure in either situation. And so I start to do that appeasement or fawn. I think it's fawn behavior, right? And I start saying to her, oh, I didn't realize there were other people out here. So sorry to, be afraid. Like and then as she walks by, she doesn't freaking say a word to me. She never apologizes to me. Neither did the other guy. And I'm like, why am I the one apologizing? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's my thing. So
Yeah,
go.
I just want to ask though, why are you saying no, no, no?
What happens in the moment when I realize that there's something and I'm freaked out, because it's in a second, and I just go, no, 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 no. This is part of where Lucas has been helping me actually voice my no. I used to wake up in the middle of the night trying to scream no and couldn't even get it out. I would wake myself up trying to go like that. And so he's helping me there's something going on. I don't know if it's past life. I don't know what it is, but so the fact that I can just go, no, 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 in the moment has actually, when deer run in front of us, he stops instantly because I'm learning to scream. I will do this in the preserve with Brad there. He's like, don't scream like that. Everybody thinks you're being raped. And it would shut me down. And now I'm like, oh no, this is a thing. This is me trying to voice, I don't know.
So to most people, they appear out of nowhere and you shout no, 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 no at them.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they stare at you like you're a crazy woman, and then you apologize.
Yeah. Yeah. And then when I'm shouting no, by the way, I'm not looking at them because my back's still turned to them. I'm going, no, 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 as I'm starting to turn. And then as soon as I see what it is, the no's are done.
I'm interested in what the no is. Is this like a no, I don't know what's happening here and I don't feel in control? I'm just curious why the word no.
This is part of what I'm curious about, because when it happened yesterday, I thought, oh, this is weird.
So you didn't plan to say no?
I didn't what?
Plan to say no.
I didn't plan for any of it.
No, anyway, I guess there's judgment on my part thinking, well, that's an odd thing for someone to say, but it actually doesn't matter. The point is that somebody's startled you.
From behind. That's the other thing, I think.
And in neither case, do they acknowledge that they've startled you?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so your reaction, for the sake of the subject matter, your reaction is that you're frightened, and that's not safe, supported, and protected, right? Because you're the fuck, which is a completely, I mean, we don't have to dig very deep to see that's a completely normal thing to do. You don't have to be, that there doesn't even have to be a negative belief there. It's just like, what the fuck? So,
right.
But from a law of attraction perspective, in both cases, they have not, this is about not being heard, isn't it? And not being seen.
Ooh. Yeah. And I also feel like not respected. I mean, they're right behind me. Like because there's a boundary cross. Yeah.
Because if a normal person, no judgment there, if I'm walking along and someone goes, oh, I'll be like, geez, I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to sneak up on you.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that what any normal person does?
Yeah.
So to then get defensive, angry,
yeah.
Then for their reaction to then be irritated or annoyed at you is really odd to me.
Yeah.
I can understand thoughtlessness. Oh shit, sorry, madam, didn't see you, or but to get angry because they've scared you.
Or annoyed, yeah. And it's like, and it reminds me too, like, because when I would do that, wherever we were walking, and Brad is there, don't do that. And I'm like, I got scared. Well, why are you so scared all the time? That's what he'll say, stuff like that. And
that's just shutting you down though, isn't it?
Totally. Which is so now, like, so of late, when I realized that Lucas is trying to get me to go, no, like, nah. so now if I do it in front of him and he say, nope, do not shut me down. Now I'm like doing that type of a thing. And he like lets me, and I'm like, sorry if it's embarrassing, but I don't care.
That's interesting because you're actually standing up for yourself, and yet what you're getting back. You need to
Yeah.
think, Julie.
Well, and I can see how it relates to like when when we do the soul level coaching, we figure out what age the negative belief starts and what's the incident, right? And I know of this one major incident, and I know that I can see how it relates to this about not sharing my own thoughts, my own boundaries. I just find it super interesting that as my ability to share my voice, say no when he sees a deer, all this stuff. He's so good. My dog is so good too. I love him. I mean, it's just amazing because all I have to do is go and he stops dead in his tracks, and he's a sight hound. So for him to see that white tail and not go somewhere is amazing. So anyway, however, it's just interesting. This happened two times in a week, in a week's time.
Are you embarrassed?
Mm-hmm.
See,
Big time.
I think, just a minute, I think you're on a stepping stone. That's what my guides have shown me. Sort of between us. So you're learning to find your voice, but you haven't got the confidence behind it yet. So you like, you know, like, oh,
Totally.
Yeah. And that's what they're responding to is that I don't even think they're hearing the no. They're reacting to your, you know, oh shit, I've done something wrong, kowtowing, apologizing, people pleasing behavior. And that's what they're responding to. That's what I see. So in time, you will get confidence in that no. And you probably won't even need to say it, but you're at that sort of stepping stone. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
here I thought there was something wrong.
Listen, someone coming up behind you at any time and frightening you is a completely normal human response to go, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. So why not?
Where you have bears and fucking.
Oh no, we don't have. Well, there may be a bear. I doubt it though. There could be.
What's your favorite? Moose.
Moose. No moose here. I miss my moose. I do and I don't miss my moose. They still terrify.
But in both cases, could this person have? I mean, how much space is there to get past people?
I mean, there's space. There's a good amount of space. However, you still would need, if you came out of my peripheral vision and I didn't know you were there, you're going to get the same reaction.
Yeah.
Because I'm focused on my dog, right?
Also, they're going to get tangled up in a dog potentially.
Exactly. And I know people here, it seems to me people here have less tolerance for dogs coming at them because there's been so much press about how dogs like attack out of nowhere. And then people are anxious, so now the dogs are anxious. Like you can just see that's a whole nother topic. Anyway, so I'm really cognizant of this. And a lot of these people are seniors, they're older. So I would, if I know someone's around me, I would rather step off the trail. Lucas gets a ton of treats and everybody's happy, you know, and we get to practice good canine citizenship. It's totally fine. But you got to fricking tell me that you're there or else you get the
Maybe
but I get the confidence thing. That makes sense to me.
Maybe you need a sweatshirt or something that says, please alert me when you're passing. Like they don't need to know why. You know, you could say that you know, if you need a story that you're hard of hearing or whatever, like nobody knows why, but it's a perfectly legitimate request to please alert me when you're passing.
Yeah. I thought about so we have Amish people around us, and on the buggies, they have the red or the reflective triangle. And I thought, oh, that's what I should do. And I thought, that's what I thought yesterday after the woman scared me. Do I need to just create something on the back of my coat? And then I'm like,
but she must have seen you.
They both saw me.
So I don't think a red triangle is going to help.
No, because if you can't even how are you going to they're going to wait to read it till they're going to wait till they won't know what it means if it's a symbol. I'd have to put words on it, then they're going to get closer. It's just like, oh, for the love of God, people just go on your left. That's all I need to know. Normal hiking etiquette.
Or from the other perspective, keep at what you're doing, and when you feel more confidence about owning that space and feeling more safe, supported, and protected, it won't happen.
That's true. And I can also say, too, I feel like something else, this is what I'm hearing from my guy, is like when they walk by, say, hey, next time, just let me know you're there, so I don't freak out, instead of apologizing for my freak out. My freak out's warranted. You freak me out.
Totally. I'd be really embarrassed if I frightened someone.
Say what?
I would be embarrassed if I frightened someone.
I feel terrible. I have frightened people accidentally, or if Lucas would move towards somebody and I've seen little kids, because there's 2 little schools out there that teach kids nature stuff, which is awesome. And there's little girls out there that are absolutely deathly afraid of dogs. I can be 100 yards away and the little girls start screaming, and I'll just go, we're going to sit here till you all move away, and we won't move, like I do. Like, I guess it's also a bit of like wanting the respect I give to others back at me, and I don't get it. Okay, do you want to know the other example?
Okay.
Do you have an example? I don't mean to like hog the whole thing.
No, on you go.
Okay, so the other thing is this self-imposed writers retreat that I'm on.
Yes.
And how we were talking about earlier. So how this is people pleasing with not feeling safe, supported, in particular, protected, is in an effort to do a self-imposed writers retreat. I've had to tell the people my family that live nearby, that I'm actually not here, but I'm here. But I'm home. So the only way that I felt like I could comfortably take a week for myself and do nothing but writing, except talk with you or a couple other colleagues, is to just say, I'm gone, I'm out of town, and no one can find me. So, and even saying that out loud, I'm nervous because I know no one watches. I know no one in my family watches our show, but that's what I've had to do. I've had to just, like, in an effort to protect or feel supported in what I'm trying to do, I've had to like pretend I'm not here.
And I hear you, because that's why I did my week-long retreat. I mean, it says my internet's a bit shaky, so I don't know if you can still hear me, but the hardest person I found, there aren't really people who bother me. That's not what I mean, but like, I didn't even want people on my phone, so I would just tell everybody that I was on retreat. And I actually just uninstalled. Did I keep WhatsApp? I think I uninstalled Messenger and uninstalled Facebook. I mean, I don't get a lot of stuff on that, but it's hard. And what we talked about is its spouses are the most difficult, because my sister would respect that because she's the only other person I'm in contact with, apart from you and Louise and people who I know I could say, look, I'm not going to be on, not social media, but I'm not going to be in communication for a week or so. And, people would respect that. But like, Gary doesn't understand it. He doesn't understand it because which is odd in a way, because he's actually very introvert in a lot of ways. Like, Gary doesn't have a lot of contact, and he doesn't like lots of people, and he doesn't like, so he totally gets the peace thing, but he doesn't understand why it would apply to him. I think that's it. Because there's times when he's gone away. And I've been like, well, I'll have a retreat when you're not here. And then he's disappointed because he's out, he's in New York or Japan, and he's seeing things and he wants to share it with somebody. So he doesn't understand why I would say, well, I don't want to. And what we discussed, and it sounds horrible, but it's the fact that I want a few days where I'm not on duty. And that's not to say that I don't want to hear about what Gary's doing. It's just, it's really nice to not have to tend to somebody else in any way, shape, or form. And that for me is what it's about. It's like, I don't want to speak to anybody. I don't want to have to. And it's not that they're necessarily high maintenance. It's just for me to not feel on duty. That sounds horrible. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I absolutely know what you mean. Because, and this to me is where the people pleasing kicks in, because I know I have a tendency to put everybody else's stuff in front of my own, and I really want to write. So in an effort to be able to not get pulled down the people pleasing path, I've had to just say, I've had to lie and just say, I'm somewhere completely different than I really am. And which maybe, hopefully, maybe someday I can actually say, nope, leave me alone, please go. There was a Saturday Night Live skit, which is a comedy show here in the US, that was like, it was family Christmas. It was, please go away, leave me alone, I'm doing fine, just get away. It was Christmas carols, but sent with new lyrics. But anyway, but it's hard, because if I were to say that, the people that I need to just go, okay, stay away, won't understand. What do you mean? Are you okay? What do you need? I can bring you something. Like, no, I don't. Yeah. So in an effort for me to, it's like it's to some degree, like, in order for me to care for them so that their feelings aren't hurt, I had to lie, which is people pleasing, so that I can feel supported.
That's exactly it. It's like it's easier to tell a lie. But actually, I have no issue with that. I used to be really hung up on the truth, and I'm not anymore, because actually, what difference does it make? Like, if you haven't got the subtlety to understand what I'm asking you, which is just leave me alone for a bit, and if it saves your feelings, then let's do that. Then that's easy, But it's that is all about people pleasing. And interesting that if someone said to you, don't contact me for a week, how would you feel? Because I think I understand. Maybe I wouldn't have understood a few years ago. I don't know. Would I have been hurt? Possibly. I don't know. Maybe if Gary, maybe because it's so unthinkable, but if Gary sort of said, oh, I don't want anything to do with you for a week, I'd probably be a bit hurt. Probably would, actually.
Well, if Brad said it like that, yeah.
Yeah. I suppose because he doesn't express the need to be alone. But I mean, he spends a lot of time alone. We've got a big house. And when he's in a mood, I won't go near him, because I just, it's not directed at me, but he can be quite morose, and who needs that? But yeah, no, the one that I came up with, which actually I realized we talked about before, but it is so much about not safe, supported, and protected. And that is workmen, neighbours, especially. This whole thing about me wanting to go off and live in a cave somewhere is because I don't feel safe, because I don't want other people to be able to influence my environment. I don't, which neighbours can, because obviously they're in close proximity to you. And I mean, that is all about feeling safe, supported, and protected. Is that for whatever reason, I think people at some point are going to shit on me, and I don't want any part of it. So if I live somewhere where there are no people, then that can't happen. But then we both know that's not true, because if I go up and live in a cave somewhere, then, and I don't have any neighbors, it will be a bear that makes me feel like that, or who knows. But that to me is like, as I say, when we first learned it, I didn't really think of that as a big thing, but it's just not as tangible to me, because it's a lot more subtle, this one. I think there's the obvious one of when you go, no, that's quite obvious, but there are a lot more subtle ways that you don't feel safe, and unpicking them is actually quite interesting, like the whole knickers pants thing. And I got myself in a real tizzy when we learned about that one, because I was thinking, what happens if something's on sale, right? Because one of the other examples I think Danielle had used is why you buy 2 sets of shampoo instead of just the one, because you're worried that it won't be on sale next time. And then I got in a whole thing in my head about, well, it's cheaper to buy it now, and I don't know how much it's going to cost and all that. But that, again, it's all about abundance. That's all. I must buy it now because it's not going to be available. And I can get really hung up on that, and I actually find it quite hard to find a way out of it. Whereas the not good enough, not worthy, I can talk myself down. I go, don't be stupid. You're a perfectly successful, loving human being. You're entitled to this. But the not safe, supported, and protected, that sort of, that practical, logical side of me is quite hard to talk down, and same with the neighbours. you know, well, I don't want to share a driveway with somebody because what happens if we fall out and they have power over me, and that's all not safe, supported, and protected. And that's a lot of the people pleasing we've talked about before, with specifically with workmen. So I always think that I have to be, it's not conscious, but that I'm always a really good sport, and you know, and I always try and pay a fair price, and I don't quibble, and I'm not awkward if they need to change their plans, and I'm not pushy, and you know, and then, but it's stupid because the ones that are going to shit on you are going to shit on you anyway, irrespective of how nice you are. That's what I've learned anyway, and it happens a lot, which means this is very strong for me, and I'm still working on it because, well, only last year building the shed or whenever it was, I mean, that builder went fucking AWOL and cost me thousands of pounds. So I've still got it quite strong in my vibration. And I was very nice to him.
Well, of course, you were people pleasing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. Interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's just you'd mentioned Louise Lerner, and I was wondering, you didn't actually make the connection, did you?
No, not yet. No, not yet. So Elise Lunan, favorite, right? Can I say this? Our favorite book of 2023?
I think so. I think it will
Okay.
probably last longer than a year as well.
Oh, totally. Yeah. It's on our best behavior. The price women pay to be good. It's the 7 deadly sins, and the price women pay to be good is the subtitle. So I don't know if this is, well, it's kind of related. It made me think. So Apple TV Plus has a 4-part miniseries on the supermodels from back in the day. Cindy Crawford, Linda Evangelista, Naomi Campbell, and Christy Turlington. And back in the 80s, I loved these women. Linda Evangelista was my absolute favorite. I loved her. I loved them all. So, and what's also interesting is, to me, I'm just going to do a little aside, is George Michael actually kind of brought them even more to the forefront, because he did a video called for her song Freedom 90. I think it was called Freedom 90. I know it's Freedom. Anyway, and he used them. He wasn't in the video. He used them. And I remember thinking it was the best damn video on the planet. Anyway, this was back in the 80s when Julie was graduating from high school and going into college. Huge fan of Vogue, all that stuff. I loved all of it. I loved fashion, still do, but it's a whole nother thing. Anyway, what was interesting to me about this, and what I thought was interesting about those 4 women when I was younger, was that you could see women doing something more with something that would usually leave them anonymous, or just like they called them at the beginning of the series, they called them like live mannequins or live clothing hangers. And these 4 women, and there were others too, but there were these 4, they were just really good friends. And so they made sure that they would try to keep each other moving forward. Particular, like when Naomi Campbell wouldn't get booked because she's Black, they actually would show up and say, we're not going to do this show unless she gets to do it too, kind of a thing. And I'm paraphrasing a lot of this, but there's so much that went on behind the scenes. And for me, growing up and watching them, I remember thinking, they're pretty cool. And I just remember like androgyny, like Linda Evangelista could do androgyny really cool. And I loved androgyny. Anyway, I still do. Anyway, so what was interesting though, as they start to get powerful, then other people start to try to whittle it away and take it away. And so like turning stories around on them, like calling Naomi Campbell difficult to work with. And when you hear what her side of the story, which she never really talked about in this, you're like, oh, well, she had every right to do that. Or Linda Evangelista was in an abusive marriage. Nobody knew about it because she didn't talk about it until other people her ex-husband had abused came forward. Then she's like, okay, I can talk. But there's all these other things. But what I found interesting was that these group of women they had no idea what they were doing. They found each other. They were able to collectively move the needle, move the ball forward, create a power for them, an empowerment for them as something that would keep them, like their bodies to some degree weren't even their own, right? They couldn't manage their own hairstyle. Like Cindy Crawford's hair was cut without her permission at one point. She didn't even know it was, they put it in a ponytail to fix her hair and just cut it off. And they didn't even ask her. And then they get to this point where they actually have empowerment. They can sign their own contracts. They can do their own thing. And then people start trying to take it away from them, even women were like, and started labeling them with all these different nasty things, much like Elise talks about in the book. And I just thought, isn't this interesting how they rose to a level, and they were fine. They were like, at that point they were 30, they realized that they probably couldn't keep doing it, but that even of itself is its own thing. So it's a little bit of a digression from what we were talking about with people pleasing and not safe, secure, and protected. However, the fact that part of what society did to bring them down a peg, and I'm using air quotes, was the fact that they weren't doing people pleasing behaviors. They got to a point where they didn't need to do people pleasing behaviors because they were making their own money. They were signing their own contracts. They were in demand. If they weren't in a show, that designer wouldn't get the press that designer wanted to get. But as soon as it became about the women and not so much the designer, and that people got upset, then they started doing it. And the women were like, okay. And continued to get, so it's just fascinating to me. I was watching it last night. I'm like, how we do.
Because as soon as you said supermodels, my immediate reaction is like a sneer. Who are these people? Yeah. Because I suppose I blame them wrongly for what is, for women having to be skinny and all that. But actually, it's not really them at all, is it? It was all the marketing around them and everything like that.
Totally. And actually, as a backlash, this is the part I'm at part 3 last part tonight. They're just getting to be 30, and there's this backlash against them, and it's put on them. They're like, we're just going along with the ride too, to some degree. And the fashion industry or the designers are like, well, wait, it all becomes Cindy Crawford wearing Galliano or so-and-so, and instead of it being Galliano as worn by Cindy Crawford. And so the designers start to hire. And at that point, Gorbachev is in power in Russia and opens up Russia. So there's this flood of these really smaller, thinner, no hip Eastern Europeans who come through, who will be hired for nothing, have no hips, and they be this waif thing. So Kate Moss, not that she was English, but is English, but anyway, so they create this whole like waif thing in opposed to these women who actually had figures and stuff. So I thought that was interesting too, because I didn't quite make that. It was interesting. The whole thing's interesting. Yeah.
It's interesting. There is a lot of that though, and that's a theme throughout Elise Luen's book, and that is about the women people pleasing, just because that's the only way we can, we feel we have to do things, and it is. And I'm not sure that. Well, I think women do own. I think women are much more likely, aren't they, to people please? Part of it just as a genuine, what's the word? Because we're more empathic and we're just more considerate. It's just, what interesting. Does that come from being not safe, supported, and protected, though? Because in general, women hold that position far more than men. I mean, less so now, but there are still many positions in life where men are. I was watching, there's a comedian, Hannah somebody or other, Australian lesbian comedian, and she's quite a large lady, and as in tall, and she said how men are, people are always calling her sir by mistake, and she says invariably it's customer service people who are looking down, they'll say hello sir, and then they'll look up, realize she's not a man, and then start and she was just laughing about how they just, oh, I'm so terribly sorry, and she's like, why would you apologize? Like, you've just put me at the top of the pecking order. I can now, well, I can't remember what she said, but she's like, if it's an air hostess or something, she's like, I can now go and sit in a seat with my legs wide open and not give a fuck about what anybody else is doing, but it was funny because it was so unexpected how this was going to go. But she's basically saying, now I am a white heterosexual male who can actually sit and do absolutely nothing and not give a fuck, and you're going to give me the best service I've ever had. Why would you apologize for that? But it was quite funny. But it does, in general, women still occupy or are I mean, the amount of women I know who are in relationships that I'm almost certain they would end if they felt financially secure.
Yeah.
you know, because they've had children and they've given, you know, it's the same old story. We may be emancipated and all of that, but there are still women stuck at home who've given up their careers and don't feel like could start, you know, they're not going to go back at the same earning power if they leave their husbands, or they're people pleasing around their children because they think it's going to disrupt their children's lives too much to leave the husband and stuff like that. It still feels very much that however sophisticated we are still second-class citizens in some way, which is basically not safe, supported and protected because I don't have my own means. I mean, it's a big thing for me, not safe, supported, protected, I realise now, because it is all about needing to be completely independent, not needing neighbours nearby me, not needing to ask anybody's permission, not needing money from anyone, or God forbid, all of that. So everything I've created with Gary is all my own fault. Yes, what happens when you want to be independent is you get independence. That's what happens.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Which the supermodels, that just reminded me too, because we're both now self-employed, and the supermodels make that. Naomi Campbell says it too. She's like, when different powers were trying to belittle them about, you know, you did this on your contract, or you did that on your contract, or I employed you, kind of a thing. So Naomi Campbell looks right at the camera. She's like, make no mistake. I mean, I'm going to paraphrase for her. Make no mistake. I am self-employed. I've always been self-employed. So if I don't like something, I'm not going to do it. I'm self-employed. You have no control over, because the way that it was coming out in the press was that she was like an employee, and she's like, no, I'm self-employed. And I just thought, didn't think about it that way. Yeah. I had respect for them when I was younger. I have even more respect for them after watching this, which I just think is so, and I'm glad they did it. I wish they actually would go a little bit more in depth into how they were in their lives, but maybe I don't need to. Maybe it's none of my business. I just find I find their stories fascinating. So I love them.
I've just learned something new about you, Julie.
Yeah. Oh, so you know, so RuPaul makes an appearance, by the way, because voguing comes into play, the dance movement and whatnot, and how these four models in particular were the inspiration to some degree behind the dance move, and and it became the democratization of fashion and the democratization of culture. I mean, not that they're not taking credit for it. It just shows like how as they get older, and then this rap comes along, and then voguing and RuPaul, and Linda Evangelista thought RuPaul was the best thing since sliced bread. So I thought that was cool. Anyway, so that might be a good place to end it. Oh, dang, sorry, there goes my little alarm.
I just heard what, I don't know what that was. Yeah, that's a good place to end, Julie.
Okay, all right, so I will take us out. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Thanks for sticking with us as we had a holiday last week and we're not doing episodes, but be prepared for next week when we talk about a different workaround behavior. We're going to go through December with a new theme, and we may even have some special guests, so just stay tuned for all of that. But thank you again for being here. This is Making Light Two Humans Being. I'm Julie here. With me, as always, is Kate Foggo. Please like, subscribe, review, all the things that can help others find us too. We'd be so grateful. We are so grateful for all of you that are here. Have a wonderful, as we go into the holiday season, have a wonderful holiday season, and we will see you next time right here. Take care.